Alright, next up we're going to go ahead and install these studs using a 3/8 drive extension, 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter, 3/16 Allen head socket. Alright, so for the camera, so you can see that I don't have an excessive amount of lubricant on this thing. I kind of have just as much as I need to do the job, okay? So I see you guys putting a lot of excessive lubricant on these things. So this is what I do. And I normally do this in a production sense. You know, it's like I'll build, you know, quite a few motors at one time, or I'm doing them for speed. So I'll show you how I do it. You know, these engines have a lot of parts and components, so if you can cut down on speed, you know, or cut down on the amount of time it takes you something and speed it up. So what we're gonna do is always hand feed everything, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand feed these guys. Then I'm gonna grab my snap-on electric 3/8 drive ratchet, and then I'm gonna go ahead and run these things down till they're tight, and there's a reason for that. Now the conjecture from ARP is that, you know, you basically want your studs to be hand tight or finger tight, and we're going to achieve that. But I see a mistake a lot of guys do is that they'll attempt to run them in quite literally by hand like this, like they're just trying to run them all in like this. And you know, you may run into a time when, you know, the last 2 threads stick, but you think you're bottomed out because you did it by hand, and it's like, that's going to be a problem. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and run all these dudes in. Now mind you, you want to, if you're using an electric ratchet like that, slow down your roll as you're getting to the bottom. So you can hear me coming off the throttle. And I'm not going to say that this ARP hardware is fragile, but the hex head at the top, it's essentially designed to, if you start over torquing on this thing, or you start doing weirdo stuff with it, for instance, if you don't have positive engagement of your socket, like, you can absolutely round that thing. And again, the reason being is it's not designed for torque like that. Okay, so I'm going to make another note here while we're messing around with this thing, and it's just a good habit to have. And the reason is this way you cannot fuck this up. So go ahead and put an X where your secondary tensioners are going to go, and put it on both cylinder heads. That's going to be a reminder for you that before you drop the tower system, that you have that hydraulic tensioner installed. Because if not, you're going to be real sad and you'll thank me later, because you're going to be liquid sealing that thing in there. Alright, let me grab a smaller snap-on ratchet over here. Okay. Another thing to take note. Before you send your stuff to the machine shop, I suggest taking a dental pick and going ahead and removing those 2 internal valve train filters right there. They're like strainers. Go ahead and pull those things out of them and bag them and keep them. You got to put them back in when you're putting this thing together. So, you just saw me over tighten all of these studs. Alright, so now I'm going to break them. And I'm a little bit of an ADD guy, so you'll see me do things a little bit out of order. Don't do what I do. Do it the way you're supposed to do it. Okay. Alright, so this is the amount of tension that I like to see. Right there. Right there. Not even snug, it's more like what I would consider to be the cusp of thread to thread compression. you can see how much tension, and it's not much at all. You know, what is that, like 4 foot-pounds of torque, or, you know what I mean, something less. Okay, now you're set up for putting on your washers and your nuts. So, these are the tricks and things that you're gonna want to know. Okay. So, nobody talks about this. The washer needs to be installed dry, very dry. And the reason that is because when this guy sits on the actual cylinder head itself, I don't want this shit moving around. I don't want that washer moving around and free spinning and doing something weird. I want it stationary. The lubricity is going to come is because I'm going to lubricate the face of the nut, and that's going to lubricate the top of the washer. The top of the washer is the only thing getting lubricated here. And then, of course, you know, I've already done the threads, so hypothetically, I don't really need to do the threads. A lot of the times, you'll also see me bury a little bit of fucking ARP lubricant up inside the threads of the nut. But this is dry, this is wet. All right. Trick is take a dental pick, you know, preferably a straight one, but you know, slide this guy on there like that, and then it's pretty easy to just kind of fish that thing into place. Okay. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just about to go ahead and do them, and then we're going to go through the torque procedure. All right, I'll give you a close-up if you did your ARP install like I did. Okay, let me put the light on. So you should be able to see the heads of the hardware. You shouldn't have a whole bunch of lubricant everywhere. You know, sometimes I see it to where, guys, you can't even see the damn hex head of the ARP fastener. Okay, so hopefully you got that going on.